Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Dean. So in this video, we will be talking about personality disorders.
A personality disorder is a type of mental health difficulty where a person can have rigid and unhealthy patterns in how they think, function, and behave.
They can have intense emotions and mood swings that can sometimes lead to difficulty for them in how they get on with the people around them. They might also have a massive fear of being rejected, or of people leaving them, or of simply being alone.
As a result of this, the person can have trouble perceiving situations and relating to other people. This can cause problems and limit them in their relationships, work, social activities, and school.
Personality disorders tend to be clustered into three groups. Cluster A is characterised by quite odd or eccentric thinking and behaviour. Cluster B is often characterised by very dramatic and overly emotional thinking or behaviour that can appear very unpredictable.
Finally, Cluster C is characterised by very anxious or fearful thinking or behaviour.
Don't worry too much about these clusters. We've included this information as a way of showing how complex human personality can be, especially when it becomes impacted in a negative way.
So how do personality disorders develop? Well, personality develops and forms in the first 20 to 25 years of life. A certain amount of personality, for example personality traits, can have a genetic basis.
Yeah, so think about your own family. There may be traits that you have in common with your parents, for example, being shy or being quite outgoing. Personality is not determined by a single gene, but rather a group of genes working together.
Personality development is influenced by both biological and environmental factors.
That's right. So things like your biology, how you're made up, but also things like your experience of being parented, the culture around you, even your birth order and family size can influence how your personality is shaped in your early years.
So most of these things can have both negative and positive influences on how our personality develops. One particularly strong and possibly negative impact on our developing personalities is trauma.
So what is trauma? Trauma is an experience or a series of experiences that are very upsetting and difficult to cope with, like being in a fire or war or an accident. Experiences of violence or being treated badly over a long period of time are also known as traumas.
Trauma and distress over a long period of time can actually change how the brain works. It can also affect how the personality forms and develops in a way to cope with the distress.
That's right. Essentially, trauma can affect on how safe we feel in the world. We can then develop all kinds of ways of thinking, perceiving and behaving as a way of trying to feel safe, even if sometimes these ways limit us in our relationships, social activities, work and school.
Okay, so in understanding this information about personality disorder, we might be able to see how the person's emotions and moods might change without any obvious reason, or they might feel that everything is about them, or seem to make everything into a big drama.
Yeah. The person has developed a pattern of thinking and coping that helps them to cope with what they might perceive as an unsafe world.
We all have relationships in our lives. Mostly they go okay, but sometimes we have tensions or problems. However, someone with a personality disorder is probably going to have problems with relationships a lot of the time, and their ability to cope with and resolve these relationship problems can be very limited.
So if you live with someone with a personality disorder, you might hear them talk a lot about tensions or problems with other people. Or you might hear lots of stuff about how other people are making them unhappy, are treating them badly, or are being horrible to them.
You might also experience them as very quick to anger and even expressing a wish to hurt themselves or others.
And if that's your parent, it can be really hard to work through all that stuff. You might feel like you should be on your parents' side, or you might wonder why there are so many dramas and unhappy relationships going on around them.
You might also notice other things. Someone with a personality disorder might start lots of new relationships that don't seem to last long. They might want to move house when things feel unhappy.
Yeah, and they might behave in ways that seem risky to you, like staying out all night. They might even harm themselves, or they might bring new people to your home all the time.
It is worth keeping in mind that personality disorder is very complex, and it's not that easy to identify. There is no one cause, and it can present in very different ways for different people.
We hope that what we tell you here about personality disorder might help you understand it a bit better, especially if you live with someone who's been diagnosed with it.
However, if you're thinking that someone you know has a personality disorder, but you're not sure or it hasn't been diagnosed, then it's best left to doctors to decide on that diagnosis.
That's right. Personality disorder is a mental health difficulty, and there are a few different types of personality disorder, including borderline personality disorder. It is usually diagnosed by a mental health professional, for example, by a psychiatrist.
It's not something that you can catch. So having a parent with a personality disorder, well, it doesn't mean you'll get it too. However, it can be very difficult to live with.
If you want to know more about where a mental health difficulty like this comes from, check out the video on this website, What is a Mental Health Difficulty?
And remember, you did not cause this. It's not your fault, nor is it your job to make your parent better.
The good news though is that there are things that your parent can do to get help. Sometimes talking about it helps, or getting support from other adults.
Yeah, or seeing a doctor, maybe a psychiatrist, taking medicine if it's needed, or seeing a psychologist or another professional trained to work with people with personality disorders can help.
Remember, lots of people with a mental health difficulty can and do get better and go on to enjoy their family, friends and their lives. For more information on this, check out Recovery in this video series.
So this doesn't have to last forever. Having a parent with a personality disorder or living with someone who has means it's really important that you look after yourself.
This is very important. Do things you enjoy and find someone to talk to and have some space to do things that are important to you. You might also wish to check out self-care in this video series, which has some tips on how you can look after yourself.
It can be tough having a parent with a mental health difficulty. Try to find someone to talk to about some of your worries. It could be a parent or a family friend or another adult that you might trust.
You can also contact the Childline service. This is a free and confidential service that has people trained to support you. It doesn't have to be a crisis to call them. Sometimes talking to someone you don't know helps you to practice talking about how it feels to have a parent who struggles with their mental health.
That's true. And it can help you then to talk to someone you do know and get support for yourself in your day-to-day life.
You might also want to check out the yourmentalhealth.ie website, which has useful information on mental health and supports you can access for yourself if day-to-day life just gets too overwhelming for you.
Take good care of yourself.